What up? Reading some Choujn next today. A handsome Goldilocks hubby. Ew. Yo, what the fuck? Yo, nah, this is crazy. Oh my god. This nigga is crazy. Bro, that's a crazy looking teacher, by the way. She is stacked. Oh my god. He just kicked both of his arms the other way. What the fuck? This dude is wildin'. Ooh, bro, look at his face. Look at his fucking face. Tokyo. Nah, he looks clean as fuck, bro. This nigga looks clean as hell. What the heck? Look at his face. Look at his face. Why? Why? Oh my god. Yo! It's like he didn't think about this. The consequences of making rash decisions. My goodness. Holy shit, bro. Who is this? Who is this? Who is this? Okay, hold on. This bitch is a snake. This bitch is a snake. Literally. Oh my god, no. It's the little girl. It's all coming together. It's all coming together right now. I just finished reading Choujn X for the first time. I just read the first 5 chapters, and I gotta tell you, that was interesting. So far, what I've gotten from this story is that Tokyo is a very complex individual who doesn't really think for himself and kind of lives in the shadow of his man Azuma. And that is something to be desired in a lot of people. But for now, in this story, in the context that I'm talking about, I find it very interesting, the story of Choujn X. I don't know if anybody watching this right now is ready. I'm assuming you do. That's why you clicked on the video. But for my own interpretation of this story, seeing how things have started off with Tokyo, being friends with Azuma, and you don't really know how the dynamic works at first, but they explain it in the first couple of chapters, obviously, that, Azuma is kind of like just everything you want to be. He is, loved by women. He is cool. He's strong. He has his own personality. He's an independent thinker. Tokyo is someone who you would consider a vulture, or at least the kids would consider him something like that. And you see that come across in his transformation when he becomes a Choujn, that he turns into a vulture. He's someone that isn't considered like a lion, a prideful person, someone that isn't really his own person in a sense. He picks up the scraps like a vulture would. Seeing how this plays out in the story, I thought it was very interesting, and it was very heavily talked about. Just seeing Tokyo's mindset, and especially since after changing into a Choujin, you see the dawn, or the despair, you could say, that really came upon him after realizing that he wasn't changing back to normal. He was stuck in this form, and even talking to Azuma and trying to figure out a way to get back to normal, whatever. Azuma snapped on him. Azuma was like, bro, think for yourself. Stop asking me. Stop talking. Just give me a break, something. And, that's a whole separate thing that I have to see later in the future chapters to see why Azuma exactly feels that way. Because it didn't really seem like Azuma was, it seemed like Azuma was going through his own thing, and maybe he needed, his own time to think or whatever. So seeing Tokyo kind of like, get snapped on by Azuma and kind of have to deal with like, oh yeah, I guess, maybe sometimes I kind of just rely on him too much. And, you see that weigh heavily on him with realizing that he doesn't make his own decisions. Even going to school, it was because of Azuma. The things he does was because of Azuma. Everything was kind of wrapped up in that situation in itself, and I found it interesting. And I don't know if this is, you know, an exact thing, but it's my own interpretation that his first Tokyo's first real decision that he's made in the story so far was taking the taking the syringe and to turn into a Choujin to fight against the guys that were coming after him. And I found that if that was like Tokyo's first actual decision making, and it's like in that moment, and then to see the regret afterwards, I mean, that was a very interesting and powerful moment to see someone, who's constantly done things copying, his friend because his friend's so spectacular, his sister comparing him to his friend. Why aren't you like him? Why can't you be like Azuma? He's so great. And then to see him kind of make his own decision and then not instantly, but he almost instantaneously regret his decision like, I fucked up. This was not the best option. You can see the despair in his face, and oh my god, why did I do this? It was so stupid. I mean, this story right now, after just reading it, I find it very. It's got its own like little charm to it, seeing the smoke Chujin go after the little girl, which is cool that it tied in back into the main story because I was confused on like what was going on for a second because why does this little girl have her like her own little thing going on? But to see it connect back into Tokyo, pretty good. Seeing this little girl who lived in the old farm side of the Japan or whatever, and then coming to the big city to go to a fair and then in the plane and explodes and have to deal with that whole situation, surviving the plane accident because she actually has she's adept or has like the aptitude for Choujin powers or whatever. That was really cool. And seeing how things are going to play out with her. I mean, all of this right now, I find it to be a very complex, it's not too crazy. The powers do seem a little bit unique in a sense. I've not seen a power where, because it's not like a direct power where you just like are born with it. It seems like something you have to take is some type of drug or something with Tokyo and Zuma taking the syringes. So it doesn't seem like. But then we have the girl who has the aptitude for the powers. So it seems like it could go either way with these characters, and we still don't even know if Azuma has retained any powers since he took the syringe, and nothing happened to him. We haven't seen anything, or maybe he does have something, but we just haven't seen it yet. So overall, the Chujin story is something that I wasn't really expecting. Just seeing the cover, reading the synopsis, you're like, okay, let's see where this goes. Let's see what's going to happen. And I'm honestly thinking that this is a story worth reading just because what is breaking down to me and where things are shown. I mean, even one of the most unique things I've seen about this story is the paneling. The paneling, not just for fights, but just going through the story and the dialogue. I mean, it's very interesting. The paneling in itself is very, very different. It's very constructed in a different way. I've not seen that manga do. I've seen manga do some interesting things, but this one's definitely caught my eye in the way they structure things. It's very artistic. Some of the times the panels may look a little confusing because it's just an amalgamation of like different type of shadings and blends of other things, but artistic value it's subjective. But overall, the whole thing was very cool to watch. The whole thing was very cool to read, and experiencing this story for the first time. I definitely want to keep on reading it because I think it has a lot of value to it. And let me know if you want me to keep on reading this because this was very interesting. I think you can get a lot, especially just from Tokyo. His character, there's an archetype with a lot of shonen MCs. You get a guy who's strong and prideful. You get a guy who's sad and reserved. And getting someone like him, he's not unique in a sense. This kind of reminds me of Tokyo Ghoul, where Kaneki, he's very shy and reserved, and then he gets the power, and then he's going. It's kind of related to that, but the power made Kaneki go insane and all this other stuff. Everything he had to deal with. This is a different thing where Tokyo got his powers, and he's dealing with the problems that he had with his life, where he's just not an individual, and that's a different kind of a problem where he's not he's not necessarily dealing with at least not yet. We're only 5 chapters in, but the responsibility of like other things that he may have had to deal with prior to becoming a Choujin. But now the biggest problem with his Choujin powers really is just how he looks and people coming after him and trying to get him and whatnot. But him dealing with the inner turmoil of issues that he already has, that is the part that caught me in this story so far, with him having to, find a way to navigate through his life without trying to compare himself, without trying to think about Azuma. That's been the entire crux of his character so far. Is what would Azuma do? How would Azuma get out of this? I gotta think more like Azuma. Like that's just been his entire thing, and hopefully he can grow out of that because that's been a nagging thing with him so far in these past 5 chapters is that he just constantly can't do anything without thinking or being or trying to act like Azuma, which that's something I've not seen in a shonen MC, and I don't think ever where someone was constantly in the not it's different. It's different when you're involuntarily in somebody's shadow. It's like, oh, you're Naruto, you're not as good as Sasuke, or Sasuke, you're not as good as Itachi. It's like Sasuke didn't choose to be in that spot. Tokyo chose to be in Azuma's shadow, constantly being around him, constantly asking for advice or whatever, doing everything that he does. He kind of put himself in that situation where other people don't necessarily put themselves in that situation, and they are in that spot without any choice. This dude did it on purpose. So yeah, I think this story and what I've seen so far definitely has pulled me in. And yeah, again, if people want to see me read this and go through this, I'm definitely down to do it. I think Choujin has a lot of things that are helpful and can add a little bit more complexities to stories that I don't really get sometimes in reading other shonen. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.